Good morning, guys. It is Angie Eyes here. Today is October 7th, and I can't believe it's already October 7th. This year has really flown by, and now it is that time of the year where I start reflecting on things that things that are going on in my life, and see where I'm at, see where I want to go to set my goals for 2017. Today, I really just been thinking about, and I'm pretty sure I talked about this in a previous video, but I'm going to go ahead and reiterate it because sometimes you need to reflect and reiterate things to make commitments to yourself. Now, it's been about 3 weeks. Yesterday, made 3 whole weeks since I was last in a gym, y'all. I know, and you're probably saying, girl, what was you thinking? And I'm going to tell you. So, September, October, and November, they are horrible months for me. And when I say horrible, I mean your girl gets really down and out. I get really depressed, and I try not to be, but each and every year it is the same thing. So I do look forward to the day when I am able to break the cycle. Unfortunately, that day has not come yet. And I'm looking a little wild right now, so that's why you guys aren't seeing my face. But you're blessed to hear my beautiful voice. Anyway, what I was sitting here thinking about is that my mother, my mom, my beautiful, beautiful mother, my mother in 2008, in 2008, that's the year that changed my life forever. My mother, she got really, really sick. And unfortunately, she passed away from her illness a short while later. So it kind of went like this. My mom had a birthday, and it was a pretty big birthday for her. I believe it was her, I think it was her 51st birthday. Yeah, it was her 51st birthday, right? And so I wanted to do something really nice for her. I wanted to throw her like a surprise party. And so I threw so I started like planning and planning and planning, and I like invited everybody over. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to have a barbecue for her because her birthday is September 20th. And like she found out about the party somehow, and she told me that she didn't want a barbecue, but what she wanted was a fish fry. So you guys, I had to go and get more food, and I ended up buying like a bunch of stuff that she liked. I bought a bunch of fish, a bunch of chicken, made spaghetti and salad and garlic bread and all kind of little fun things. And then I went and I got her a beautiful coconut cake with like fresh fruit on top. I paid like $50 for the cake, guys, and it was more than worth it. Back then, $50 for a cake, it was like pretty much a big deal. Now, $50 for a cake is nothing at all. I don't even know if you can get a nice cake for $50 these days, but she like loved it. She had a beautiful time, y'all. She enjoyed it. She was so happy. My sister-in-law and I, we made sure she was like looking really cute that day because she had been sick for a little while now, but we really didn't know the extent of her illness. But it wasn't too long after that we found out. So a few days after my mom's birthday party, at the time, my brother and I, we were roommates. My brother, my sister in law, and I, we were roommates. And, my mom, she had her own place, but, she wasn't feeling well, so she was spending a lot of time over there with us, which was cool. But, one day, y'all, I, I'm going to share this story. And I think I'm going to share it because I think that I don't really talk about it. And I think maybe that's why I have a hard time dealing with it. Is because I don't really talk about it. Because I really don't have anybody to talk about it with. I never like shared how much it changed me or what it meant to me. But just bear with me, guys. So a few days after my mother's birthday party, she'd been down. She'd been like really she was really, really sick. And so when I left that morning for work, she was laying on the couch, and she looked okay that morning, to me. I mean, but I didn't really pay attention to her. I just kissed her and told her that I loved her and that I would see her later on that day. And so, I went to work and went about my day as usual. And when I get home, as I get home, I see my brother and his wife and their kids. I see that they're leaving because I guess one of the girls had they had a appointment with the eye doctor. I guess because she needed new glasses or something. But that was fine. So when I walk in the house, my mom is on the couch, but in front of her is this like really big bucket, and she's like throwing up like crazy, y'all. But she's throwing up blood. My mom was sitting on the couch with a bucket in front of her, throwing up blood. Wow. Anyway, so at that moment, I'm like, okay, well, mom, like, what's going on? How long have you like been doing this or whatever? And she could barely talk because she really couldn't even take time to catch her breath. So I'm really mad. I mean, I am livid because I'm like, my brother, he just left. My brother and his wife, they just left. Just left with their kids. With my mom sitting here in this position. Like, what the hell is wrong with you that you would leave her here to see? But you know what? That's something else. That's something else. That's something else. And maybe I need to have a conversation with my brother because I never actually addressed that with him. Not to hurt him, but just to let him know how it felt. But anyway, moving along. So, um, my mom, so I end up calling an ambulance, and then, they come and get her. And I follow them down to the hospital. And when we go to the hospital or whatever, I think they gave her some medicine to help her stop throwing up. And then, she had to have a bunch of tests done. So we were in the hospital for a while. And that same night, we had been there for a few hours. And keep in mind, my brother, he didn't even come or whatever. I mean, you know what? It doesn't even matter. But my mom, my son, and I, we were there. And my son and I think he was probably like 8 or 9 at the time. We were there, and we were just sitting there, waiting to see what was wrong with her, and to see what medicine she needed so she can get released. But they decided that they wanted to keep her because they needed to do some more tests because they weren't sure. So my mom was eating the hospital dinner or whatever, and she was just looking at me, and I was looking at her, and we were talking and we were laughing and whatever. Just really trying to keep her distracted and keep her mind off of what was going on. So, you guys, my mom asked me a question. And my mom asked me, she was like, Angie, I'm like, yes, mom. And she was like, baby, I'm like, yes. And she was like, do you think that I'm going to die? And I'm like, mom, look, get out of here with that, man. That's such an outrageous question. Why would you even think something like that? And then I was like, mom, of course we all are going to die someday. I was like, but no, I don't believe your time is now. It's nothing to worry about. You're going to get better. We're going to get through this. And that's it. You guys, I had a lot of hope. And so my mom, they kept her. And for 3 days, I was in a hospital with her. I didn't really go to work. I didn't go anywhere. I don't know. I just needed to be by her side. So for 3 days, I was there. And one day I leave to go home because I did have a son, wanted to check on him. And I needed to kind of like, check in with work or whatever. And I went to work that day. I believe I have a customer. I went to work that day. And then I wasn't even at work for an hour. I don't even think I was at work for an hour when I got a call from the hospital, telling me that I needed to get to the hospital because there was this change in her condition. So, guys, what ended up happening was like she was so sick that they had to sedate her to keep her calm and to keep her to kind of like help treat her or whatever to help her from like not throwing up or whatever to try to get things under control. And when they sedated her, she actually slipped into a coma. And so they were telling me that she was in a coma and they didn't know if she was going to wake up. And, it was just like, it was really, really serious. So, at this time, I decided that it was time for me to call my aunts who lived out of town, who were her sisters, to let them know what was going on with her. And uh, just, just let them know what was going on with her and, to get their input, how to take care of her care or whatever. So when I called my aunts or whatever, they ended up coming up the next day. And, the doctors were just saying that it's not looking good. Like her condition is really serious. Basically, her organs were, she had a bad kidney and a bad liver, and the liver was like draining the kidneys or whatever. But if she could have gotten a new kidney, then it would like kind of repair the liver, or the liver would survive. And it was just like a bunch of stuff, and it came out of nowhere. So it was really hard for me to deal with. Anyway, I'm getting like a little bit off track. Oh, so a little bit off track. So, guys, I was devastated when my mom went into a coma. It just felt way too familiar because a few years before that, like 3 or 4 years before that, my father, he had an aneurysm that he didn't know about, and it like burst. And when it burst, it sent him into a coma, and he never woke up. So he passed away. So to hear that my mom had slipped into a coma, that was really really difficult for me. I didn't know how to accept that, but I was spending all my time at the hospital, and it had been a couple of weeks since she had been in a coma. And guys, I just decided to exercise my faith. Now, I'm gonna tell you something. I had always believed in God, the Creator. I've always believed in Jesus. I had always believed in the Holy Spirit, and I used to go to church faithfully. When my father died, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of like my faith was really weak, and I was mad at God. I didn't want to pray to Him. I didn't want to talk to Him. I even in the back of my mind at some points questioned His existence, and I was wrong for that. But when my mom got sick, it kind of renewed my faith, it renewed my trust, and it gave me a lot of comfort. So my mom was in her coma for a couple of weeks, and at this point, her doctors was telling us that she had about 6 months left to live, if 6 months, because her condition was just that bad. And I couldn't take it. And at this time, my auntie, who my mom hadn't talked to in years, she kind of wanted to take over the treatment plan, and she wanted to have her moved to a hospital closer to her, and just all kind of madness that I wasn't ready to deal with or accept. I mean, this is my mom. I'm my mom's only daughter, but this is my mom. I've spent every day of my life up until this point with my mom. Mostly, I hadn't gone like more than a couple of weeks without seeing my mom. And I talked to my mom like almost every day, every single day. So I didn't know how to handle this at all. And so I took it to the chapel. I went down to the chapel, guys, and I prayed. And I prayed and I prayed and I prayed. And I like cleansed my spirit, y'all. And I cried and I prayed and I pleaded to God on behalf of my mother, y'all. So after I leave the chapel, I go to the gift shop. I'll buy her some balloons. And I think I even bought a Pepsi, y'all. And I promise you guys, by the time I got up to her room, y'all, she was awake. She had been in a coma for weeks. I went down in that chapel and I prayed. And I prayed and I prayed. And I never have I prayed so hard in my life. But by the time I got back up to her room, y'all, she was awake. And when I'm telling you, I could shout a hallelujah to the heavens. I'm telling you, maybe I did. I don't remember. But hallelujah to the heavens. is what I shouted. I was so grateful, y'all. I didn't know what to do. I was ecstatic. I was ecstatic. And by this time, my aunt had went back home. And then I called them and let them know that she was awake. And so they ended up coming back up there to see her. Like, I mean, my aunt Charlene, she made several trips up there to check on my mom. I'm not gonna lie, and I appreciate her for that. But man, y'all, my mom, she was awake. So she was awake. You know, even though the doctors was telling me that she was gonna die, you know, she wouldn't have long to live, that her organs were failing her, and they were failing her at the same time. Whatever, I couldn't believe none of that because because she was in a coma. But then I prayed, and she came up out of that coma. Y'all, I was ecstatic. So, you know, during this time, I was at the hospital every day, every night. Like, I was literally sleeping. I lived at the hospital, y'all. I mean, I really even went home to change clothes. I was there with her, like, all the time. If I did leave, it was never more than like a couple hours at a time. And that was only to go home to check on my kid and to like shower and to get dressed and to go right back up to the hospital. I mean, I literally lived in a hospital with my mother. And I appreciate the time because, you know, we had some problems throughout my life. I'm not going to lie. We weren't the closest. I mean, we used to butt heads a lot. It may be that's because I was just too much like her. But during this time, I got really close to her and we got to resolve a lot of our problems. And I got to understand my mom, not only as my mom, but as a woman in general. And like, I just learned to respect her and I just had a higher level of love with her. So I was like, so excited, and we are making all kind of plans of all those things that I always wanted to do with her, but she was never into. But you know, she was agreeing, like, you know what, I would like to do this with you and do that with you, and you know, it was really, really exciting. And one day, y'all, we were sitting. She was feeling well. Okay, yeah. So, as I was saying, y'all, we were really getting to know each other and making plans for our future. You know, talking about the things that we would like to do, and we had a lot of laughs during this time. I mean, we bonded like crazy during this time. And so, at this time, I was at my highest weight, y'all. I was at this time I was like 245 pounds, and that was the heaviest I had ever been. And you know, my mom, she used to tell me, she was like, you know what, baby, you're getting like too big. She was like, you need to start losing weight. I don't want you to get like unhealthy. I don't want you to have any health problems. I used to get mad, like, mom, you know, you used to be fat. And then she used to be like, girl, I ain't never been fat. Stop your lying or whatever. And so I would just talk about pictures of her or whatever. And, you know, she was heavy, but she had never been that heavy. So looking at the picture, she hadn't really never had been that heavy. My feelings was just hurt because you know who wants their mom to call them fat, y'all? Nobody. It hurt my feelings. So during this time, I was thinking about that, and I told her one day, like we were sitting there shooting the breeze, and you know she was eating her dinner, and I don't know what we were watching on TV, but we were laughing, and you know I looked at her and I was like, you know what, mom? And then she was like, yeah, baby. I'm like, mom, I'm gonna lose weight. And then she was like, what? I'm like, mom, I'm gonna lose weight. I'm gonna get this weight up off of me. Y'all, you know my mom looked at me and my friend was in the room with us, so this what makes it worse. But y'all, my mom looked at me and then she was like, Angie, I'm like, yeah. She's like, girl, you full of shit. You were not about to lose weight. And I'm like, what? Like, mom, how dare you say that to me? Why would you say something like that to me? It hurt my feelings so bad, y'all. But that's the only thing that stick in my mind. It wasn't too long after that my mom. It seemed like she was getting better, but I guess she wasn't getting better because you know she was telling me she like would gaze off into the space or whatever, and she would tell me that she was seeing like weird things, and then she would be talking to people who passed away. Like I would like be asking her like, "Mom, who are you talking to?" And then she'd be like, "Oh, I'm just talking to like Lois, and that's my cousin that passed away before my mom." She passed away probably maybe like, I don't know if it was months or a year before my mom passed away, but she was just talking to different spirits who had passed away. She was having, I guess they said they were deathbed visions that she was having. But anyway, so it came to the point where we had to decide what route we wanted to take with her treatment. The hospital was basically saying that there was nothing that they can do to help her at this point. So the only thing that we could do is like transfer her to like a hospice, and that way they could just keep her comfortable until she, transitions into the afterlife, which is something I didn't want to hear. So we just started like making arrangements for her to be moved, y'all. And I'm telling you, my mom, she just was getting better, y'all. She was looking better. She was feeling better. She was interacting with us more, laughing more. She was in a coma, came out of the coma. She couldn't eat, was being tube fed. Then she was able to eat again. She really couldn't drink anything, and she started drinking again. And so, everything that she was doing to me just symbolized the fact that she was getting better. Yeah, my mom. So when it came time for her to be transferred into hospice, and I know I'm all over the place. Hopefully you can follow. Hopefully it's not too much if you decide to listen. But when she was transferred into hospice, on that day, I actually decided to go to work because I'm like, oh, she's good, she's okay, she can talk or whatever. And so I didn't go with her. I didn't ride with her to hospice, but my older brother did. He was with her when they transported her to hospice or whatever. And and when that happened, y'all, so she was transported to hospice, and then once she got there and got situated, when I got off work, I went home and I got my son, and and we went over there to hang out with her or whatever. And she just looked really sad that day, y'all. I don't know. I don't know why she looked so sad. But I told her, I'm like, you know what, mom? I'll be back. I'll be back in a little while. So I went home and I got my nieces, and then we went back. And then I was like, okay. So we hung out with her probably until like 8 or 9 o'clock that night. And so I told her, I was like, okay, mom, well, I'm finna go. I'm gonna take the girls home, and I'm gonna take Pooh home, and then when I get them home and get them situated, then I'll be back. And then she was like, okay. She was like, are you sure you coming back, baby? I'm like, yeah, mom, I promise to come back. I promise that I'll be back here to spend the night with you. Y'all, that's a day that I regret. And I can't really think of any other time in my life that I did anything that I regretted. But I regret not going back to the nursing home with my mother that night, y'all. And the reason why I say that is because, that night, one of my friends, she was working out of town, and she hadn't been home for like a month, and she was in town that night. And I'm like, okay. So we went out to celebrate her birthday. Her birthday had passed like a month earlier, but again, she was out of town, so I didn't get to see her. So, we decided to go out, and we went out, had a few drinks. It took my mind off of what was happening with my mom. It made me feel a little better. And so the next day, I get up and I'm like, you know what? I need to go. I need to go see my mom. Like I need to go. I need to go and see my mom and spend time with her. It was like a Saturday. It was like a Saturday. I believe it was a Saturday, y'all. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look at a calendar, but I really do believe it was a Saturday. It was like November 24th, 23rd or 24th. It was the 22nd to the 24th. I can't remember the exact date. Maybe because I blocked it out of my mind. But that morning, I was like, you know what? I haven't spent like any time with my son because I've been at the hospital with my mom. So let me do something with him today. And so I asked my son what he wanted to do, and he wanted to go see Batman. Uh, he wanted to see the new Batman or whatever. And I'm like, okay. So y'all, I took my son to the movies, and I hadn't been to the nursing home since I left the night before. And when I'm in a movie theater, y'all, my phone is blowing up. and it's a number that I don't recognize. And I'm like, you know what? Whoever it is, will leave a message. I'm gonna spend time with my son. And so then, my auntie called me, but I didn't answer her phone call or whatever. And I'm like, you know what? She probably just want to know, how the move went from the hospital to the nursing home. So I'll call her back later, y'all. But she was calling and calling and calling and calling and calling, y'all. When I finally did answer that phone, it changed my world forever. My auntie was like, she's gone. And I'm like, who's gone? Gone where? And then she was like, your mom. Your mom is gone. I'm like, my mom is gone. Gone where? What are you talking about? She's at the nursing home. And then she was like, no, you're not hearing me. Your mother is dead. I'm like, what? Yeah, I was so fucking devastated. I didn't even know what to do. Like I didn't know what to do. All of a sudden I just started screaming, and people in the movie theater, they was looking at me like I was crazy. And then so I ran out of the movie or whatever. And my son was like right behind me. He's trying to ask me what's wrong, but I couldn't talk. I really couldn't talk. I couldn't think or whatever. Yeah, I'm telling you. I leaned up against the wall, and as I was falling down to the floor, my cousin, I don't even know where he came from, but my cousin was right there, y'all, picking me up as I was falling. I don't even know. I don't know if like my auntie called my brother and my brother told him where I was, but my cousin was right there, y'all. As I was sliding down the floor, sliding down the wall, falling, crying, my cousin was right there to pick me up. And he was holding me and telling me it was okay. And he just was hugging me and comforting me. Man, y'all, I could cry right now just thinking about that. And I don't know, we went to the nursing home. We said our goodbyes. Two of my cousins was there with me and my brother, my younger brother. And, we were just there, shocked, looking at her. And I couldn't believe it. I just, I couldn't believe it. Well, that was just like, the time my mom got sick and she died. And the time that I promised her that I would lose weight. So, saying all of that is really to say that today is the day that I think about it and I recommit myself to that. And I got to do it for myself, but I got to do it and be consistent with it because I promised my mom on her deathbed that I would lose weight. And it's been 8 years and I have not. I mean, then I was 245 pounds. I thought I was fat as hell. I thought I was morbidly obese. Yo, I done went up to 300. I done went up to 314. 314 was like the largest that had been. Right now I'm about 298. And so I did lose some weight. I've managed to keep some of that weight off, but I know I can go even further than that. So I want to get down to 200 pounds. No, I want to get down to 199 pounds. That is 99 pounds from where I am at right now. And I'm going to do that to make my mom proud and to make myself proud and to prove to myself that I can do it. And because I don't want any complications with illness, because I see what illness can do to a person. I'm thinking about this because the cousin that I talked about that was there for me, his mom passed yesterday. And I guess that's why I started thinking more about my mom and being in my feelings. Like his mother passed yesterday, and he doesn't live near me anymore. He's down in Texas right now, and I'm not gonna see him until probably next week or maybe the week after because his mom lived in Nevada, so they're gonna have to fly her body from Nevada to Illinois because they want to have her funeral in Chicago. So I'm gonna have to go down there, and then I'll be able to hang out with him, and so, give him some of the comfort that he gave me. But man, I don't know. I guess I'm about to call him and check on him because I'm really like worried about him. All right, y'all. So that's really the reason why I want to lose weight because I made a promise to my mom on her deathbed, and I can't be a liar. I can't lie to my mom. I mean, she may not be here physically, but I know her spirit's still here. So I got to do it. And I'm going to do it. You're going to watch me do it. Bye.